Hello, friends. Those that are physically with us, and those that might be otherwise. And those listening at home. Hello, or wherever you listen from. Hello.
So let's talk ghosts.
Let's talk ghosts.
I feel like so many other episodes we've kind of touched on ghosts. You know, the haunted theater, we talked about ghosts a little bit.
Sleepy Hollow.
The Sleepy Hollow a little bit. We talked about ghost rules, which affects ghosts, you know. I did do a little bit of behind the scenes research before we started. Not too much because this is me we're talking about.
But keep this original, creative.
I have to. But one thing I'm sure we'll talk about at some point is residual hauntings versus like intelligent hauntings. That has to be mentioned. Obviously, we're going to see if ghosts are real. We're going to solve that one today, friends. We're going to
solving it forever.
We always reach conclusions that are and actionable ones at that too.
Yeah.
Let's start with there are different subdivisions of ghosts. You have like banshees, you have poltergeists, stuff like that. I don't know how in depth we want to get this time. I guess we'll just kind of see where the road takes us. But I want to start with this story. So this was really cool. When I was in college, I was on my way to work one day. I had a work study program and I was working in the evening, and it was right around Halloween, and there was a person there presenting. I can't remember if they were an author, if they were a ghost hunter. I can't remember what this person's role was, but she was telling, and I stopped in on my way to work. I kind of detoured in there and then went to work. And this woman was talking about this particular ghost story. And it goes something like this. This is like 20 years ago, so my memory's a little foggy, but it goes something like this. There was this haunted house, haunted room, and I can't remember how often the haunting occurred. If it was like on the weekly, once a month, daily, here and there, I don't remember. But it was always at the same time of day. It was always like 2:30 in the morning or something like that. And it was the sound of two adults engaging in some fun activities. And this happened over and over and over again. The woman decides to find out what is the history behind this house? What is going on? And finds out that the people that used to live there, I think that one of the people would work until the wee hours of the morning. They would come home, they would do their thing, and that would be that. And here's the kicker: the couple is still alive. So this is like a really, and I think this is the stuff. This is my first exposure to like a haunting, quote unquote, a haunting where the people were still alive. I'd never heard of that before.
Okay, so that's really interesting because like when I was thinking about this, like what is a ghost, right? And I thought, well, there's a difference between like a spirit maybe and a ghost. There seems to be a difference between like a demon and a ghost. And the difference seems to be that ghosts are dead. They were alive. See, this is already a problem. They were alive once, and now they're dead. And then there are apparitions or some kind of references to them, and we call that reference a ghost. Whether that is a person in the kitchen making, you know, what was it, the class 5 full torso rubbing vapor, something like that.
Q Slimer.
One real quick question is, Dan, you said that it was just sound. This wasn't something, she couldn't see anything. It was just,
right.
it was an auditory.
If I remember correctly, the person would eventually go to investigate to see where's the noise coming from? Is it a neighbor? Is it, you know, and it goes to like the room where it was coming from. And if I remember right, once they would like open the door or like have the opportunity to see something, all the sound would stop. And that seems to be very common in stories, that like you hear something, you go to investigate, and then all of a sudden it just stops.
No, that's interesting because it brings us to like I think this might be where you were going with this. Was the like there's like noise stuff, right? Like you hear something. It's like then there's like visual stuff, like people see a figure, like when we were talking about the theater haunting, like they saw like a guy, or the one haunting in like early haunted houses, like, oh, you see a person kind of doing something over and over again. They're not like you were saying in the kitchen, you know, making something or whatever. Or there's some visual stuff, but it's not like you don't see a person or something moves, right? So that's like poltergeisty. And then there's like full on like want to communicate or something like that, right? Like it has interactivity as opposed to like recording. There's these multiple, you know,
Well, and
types of
that's
things, and you know, like that are different, but they're like not necessarily dead people, and some of them are, and some of them aren't. Like, you know,
yeah.
it's like
Like I would have been under the assumption before you told that story that it was pretty much going to be dead people. But there's something interesting in this apartment that I'll get to. But so so like the but that idea of okay, so yeah, so you've got Dan, I think you called them intelligent hauntings and recursive hauntings. Is
Residual.
that residual hauntings? Yeah, and so like the idea of like yeah, like some event took place, a high emotion event like that, and it gets recorded on the environment, or the environment's special, and records things that just happened there. Something about the environment does that, or the intelligent, well, a spirit of some restless dead is wandering around here, or a spirit that thinks they're still alive doing their thing, but you can interact with it. And then, of course, poltergeists. Poltergeists are interesting because, like, we tend to assume, well, there's a ghost behind it. There's a spirit of a dead person behind it. And actually, a lot of the times, that doesn't seem to really enter into it. Like, it's something's going on. There might be a story of something that happened in that place, but usually you have a teenager, often a girl, entering puberty. And it's like so what some researchers have suggested is that what we call poltergeists is actually a psychokinetic event. Like somebody's using psychokinetic, telekinetic powers, and that's like the idea of like being able to move something with your mind. That's what we would call like telekinesis. And then any kind of thing out there is in the general category of psychokinesis, the idea of causing something to materialize, or we have the idea of ectoplasm. One thing would be
is that
well, the
real?
ghost.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like, is that? I thought that was just a movie thing. Like,
No, that's not just Ghostbusters. That was an actual thing that was being investigated. This stuff that would happen largely during spiritualist seances.
Yeah, I
Like
was
a
gonna say
lot.
seances. I think like the 1900s, late 1800s, if I remember right.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's not generally like, oh, and yeah, this is a haunting because there's ectoplasm. It's like, well, no. There's like particular things that seem
Someone
to.
just had a big sneeze.
I'll stay off the Ghostbusters line.
Yeah.
So, but this kind of idea of like, well, that doesn't even seem to be a dead person. Except then you've got things like the Enfield Poltergeist. And the Enfield Poltergeist is one of those really interesting cases where you've got multiple witnesses. The first witnesses were law enforcement, witnessed a heavy chair pushed across the room by nobody. Like it, and it's cops. Again, like, I don't imagine there are a lot of police officers that watch this, but do you think it would make you more popular with your fellow officers if you were talking about this stuff all the time, you know? I don't think so. I just tend not to think that. And that lends some kind of credibility to it. But here's the thing about the dead person. There is a young girl, I'm going to say she's like 11 or something like that, and she speaks in a gravelly voice of an old man that claims to be the dead spirit of a person that used to live there. That's uncommon in poltergeist stories, you know. So it's interesting when that actually happens to be the case. But a lot of these things fall into this category of where it's hard to dispute whether people are doing it, and I don't just mean fakery, whether people are doing it or whether something else is doing it. Because when it comes down to it, like the notion of like super psi, you know, like kind of like I manifest an apparition with something like that, like psychokinesis or something. Particularly when you've got these things where you've got multiple witnesses, you need some kind of explanation. If they're not just making it up, what's the explanation? At one extreme, it's like, well, there's a ghost. And at the other, and somewhere in between, there's, well, people are getting like freaked out and they're putting something out there using what I would just call psychic capacities like psychokinesis or something like that, or somehow they are putting that out there and it's them that's doing it. It's not a ghost. It's not the house. But then it's like there are things that just don't fall into that category either.
Dan, when you had mentioned banshees, right? And so there's like the whole like banshee women in white that people see usually like near bridges or near things. And that's often gets associated with like, oh, it's a ghost, it's someone that died or something. Or the banshee is like a purportant of, you know, something bad's going to happen, death, or like a curse or something. But then you almost see more like something else. Like it's like, yes, it's almost like it's a haunted thing. Like people see this woman in white near this bridge, but it doesn't necessarily, but then it's like, no one really died there. There was no woman in white. You know, it just like happens to be a thing, a phenomenon. And it's more like, that feels like that's more in a category of like a different creature altogether, similar to things like we've talked about, like a Bigfoot, like some kind of entity that isn't like what we would categorize as like ghosts or hauntings.
Right.
Like,
but we also wouldn't necessarily categorize as a biological creature.
Right.
Living.
It's not. Yeah, it's not like a cryptid necessarily, but it kind of feels like it's like sort of along those lines. There's also like the like Japanese like spirits that haunt things that like move into old houses, like the different, you know, like the dust mite, you know, things that I think became kind of famous from like Toro, you know, and it's like, you know, like the little like, or like, you know, dust, like it's like, but they're like, and it's like when houses are abandoned, like these spirits move in and haunt them, but they're not ghosts. It's not like someone died in this house and now it was their house, or someone lived in this house and it was their house. It's like these are creatures that actively seek out abandoned places to like take up residence in or something.
Yeah.
It's like, they're not really ghosts in a sense.
So they're like, it's like this non-physical entity. I'm just saying non-physical. I mean, who knows? Maybe they go somewhere and it's very physical where they are.
Something defined in a different way. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's some kind of non-physical or spiritual kind of entity that isn't a ghost, but that still will do ghosty things. and so that's the thing where it's kind of like, okay, so like we talked about like Bigfoot. A lot of times Bigfoot acts more like a ghost. I don't necessarily mean at one point big feet, Bigfoots, you know, we're wandering the planet and then like they all died and now their ghosts show up in different places. It's like, well, that's not really what I mean. Like it's kind of like it's something that's not a creature, and yet that's very different than what we usually think of when we think of ghosts. One of the common things, and this is like I mean, I guess a lot of it still could be covered by super psi, but like the notion of like somebody dies and a person wakes up somewhere, a living person wakes up somewhere, and the person who died appears to that person who does not yet know that that person died. And then later on, they discover that in fact they did die.
Is that the same thing as, I want to say it's like the third person syndrome or something like that? Does that sound familiar at all to anyone?
I don't know. I heard it referred to as being a crisis haunting or something to that effect. Let me see.
You're talking about like they appear to them actually versus like in a dream or something like that, you know?
No, I think like as an apparition in their bedroom or something.
Like basically like the Hamlet, like, you know, that like it's like, the ghost of your father or your uncle killed me. You know?
Like that kind of thing.
So the third, it's called the third man syndrome. It's slightly different. It's when you're in person A is in like crisis, like life-threatening situation. And while they're still alive, they appear to person B or something like that.
Okay.
So it's slightly different, but similar kind of.
Yeah. So the common pattern is standing at the foot of the bed, saying goodbye, and appearing in vivid form. That gave me chills. Just that's cold here too. So you know. So
that's another thing. Like based on stories that I've heard, you know, a lot of times we think about ghosts being semi-transparent. Is that even a word? Is that redundant? Semi-transparent? They're being transparent, you know, or translucent.
Well, they were true. Yeah, translucent.
Yeah, translucent. Okay. Yeah, they are.
But people will also say times where it's like they look just as real as you and me. Like you get this weird spectrum. Yeah, I suppose say a spectrum, you know, of the solidness of the person, which is really interesting as well.
Yeah,
I've heard it's definitely people tell like stories of like there's like a place like where they have used to see like they'll see a person say like in a store or something like that, and they'll be like try to like a place where they would often have gone, and they'll follow them, and then they're gone. It's so it's like things like that, which is
Yeah.
like weird, like in the sense of like, well, are they the only ones seeing them? Or are they, it's like it's like they're not necessarily haunting it, but it's like somebody like, but like you were saying, like people like family members or things like that type of thing. It's usually like something or someone you were close to type of idea. Like so, yeah.
Well, going along with that, I've heard other stories where you'll have a group, we'll say like 3 people, okay? And one person will see something and the other people don't see anything at all. Or maybe
About to
like,
ask about that.
yeah, or maybe they'll see them, but like the other person will just hear them instead. Like they don't get the same experience all the time when there are multiple people, which is very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I mean, a lot of the problem of all of this comes back to the problem of consciousness and what the heck it is. Like, because so there are many tales of multiple people witnessing a haunting at the same time. It's not satisfying to say it's like a group hallucination, because like you try to have a group hallucination even with help from molecular friends, and like you're often not gonna see the same kind of thing. It's not gonna be the same kind of experience. So like why, it's like, oh yeah, no, there's that. Oh, look at that. And then they get there and there's nothing or whatever.
Well, it's like just what's interesting about like just generally like the ghost type of story, like that you're, whether it's like haunting or seeing like somebody you knew who was a spirit, or seeing a spirit like malevolent or friendly kind of thing, is like it's goes past like cultural boundaries. Like it does seem to be like a very cross-cultural thing. And then, like, and to the point, it's like one of the oldest like writing like tropes. It's like I mean, like it's in like the Epic of Gilgamesh. Like I think Enkidu comes
That's
back
kind of old
from the undead thing. It's in like the Odyssey. Like there's things like there's definitely like the whole like spirit. Like I mean, and then obviously in all sorts of folk tales of like spirits coming from the underworld or things like that. People coming back, it's like kind of like, so that's what one of the things versus like a lot of like other things like certain cryptids or certain types of things, it's like there's or specific types of like, I guess like supernatural beings that are cultural to a place. Like ghosts are just like a thing like everybody has in their thing, has some type of ritual around it, probably because we have like death rites and death ritual things, and it has a lot of similar things. And the fact is, like, we've been writing about these things for and probably before that telling stories about it for since like early some of the earliest forms of storytelling. So it's like it's kind of neat in that sense.
Some of these things are just kind of like hard to shake off, and like particularly like these ones with like lots of witnesses. Here's this crazy story of the John Bell in Tennessee. This is the story of the Bell Witch.
This is a good one. This is a good one.
Okay, so this guy, so he's haunted and tormented for 3 years, from 1817 to 1821. Disturbances begin after he encounters a strange animal with the head of a rabbit and the body of a dog in his cornfield.
Okay.
Probably not the jackalope. That's not described as having the body of a dog.
I think the jackalope has to have horns, doesn't it?
I think it does. Yeah, I think it has horns. Yeah,
It's like
it does have
antelope,
horns. Exactly. Yeah.
Jackrabbit. Yeah.
The horns are very valuable. And then his family gets plagued by the auditory phenomenon, gnawing sounds on the bedpost, knocking on walls, things pulling blankets off of beds. And so like a lot of poltergeisty type stuff. And a voice that develops, initially whispering hymns and later speaking clearly to quote scripture, repeat sermons, and to insult John Bell. Like, it does not like John Bell, the one that encountered the the rugged, the dog rabbit.
Before you go on with the story, was John Bell anything of interest? Was he just a farmer? What was he? I'm trying to think why him. Why is he getting
Did
tormented?
he do
in the
something
story?
bad? Was he like that the ghosts were after him?
Should we find out,
specifically
like,
the dog rabbit? Like was a
How about you continue with the story? I'll check that real quick.
yeah.
All right. So, this you got this Bell Witch. So eventually, what winds up happening is he gets poisoned and dies. So the Bell Witch entity is known as Kate.
So wait, so is the story then coming from somebody else that wasn't his account? Like,
Yeah, because the family was with him.
Right.
So the family was experiencing all of this, and apparently they must have.
sensing a setup, they probably poisoned.
Well, it gets better then, because you're gonna have to account for this next part.
Okay.
Okay, so he's poisoned, he dies. Okay, and then according to legend, the entity known as Kate provided a final mocking display during his funeral. The service was one of the largest attended services in the history of Robertson County, Tennessee. Hundreds of people from miles away came. The entity crashed the ceremony, interrupting the three presiding preachers, 2 Methodists and 1 Baptist, for note, was heard singing cheerful, bawdy drinking songs of an inappropriate type, especially one about a bottle of brandy, witnessed by many people. Witnesses report hearing the entity laugh and shout insults throughout the proceedings, continuing its taunts until the last mourner left the graveyard. And right before the funeral, the entity gleefully takes credit for his death, declaring to his family that it had fixed him with a big dose of this mysterious black liquid found by his bedside. So this is the story, but it's witnessed by lots of people.
So it's just like a sound, but it's like there was no apparition ghost. It was a sound ghost, right?
It was apparition, not apparition. It was auditory phenomena and poltergeist phenomena.
So, okay.
But no apparition, unless you consider the thing he saw in his field to have been something like that. Creepy, because it goes under that thing of like, okay, well, we know like about like, okay, so let's say it was okay, so if it was super psi, it wasn't caused by him, because it continued being caused by him after he was dead, which doesn't really make the super psi explanation any more satisfying, because then ghosts can do that too. So then there's like the idea of like, well, was it the encounter with this thing? Like, what was that?
Or was that
thing
just
not
unrelated?
A ghost?
Like,
was it
you know?
Unrelated? Yeah, was it
Maybe
just
it's
some
this sounds like
mangy
almost like
coyote
some
or
kind of
some
like
weird kind of
vengeful spirit, you know? It's like just like the crow situation. I'm sorry, come back and kill people that have wronged you.
Yeah, people once believed that when a person was wrongfully killed, their soul would be carried to the land of the dead by a dog with a rabbit head.
Then come
Would
back
carry
and
it in its rabbity teeth. You had to pay the rabbit with carrots. Put carrots over your eyes to be carried. Yeah, anyway, just a weird story, a really weird story. And when you've got these things with like lots of witnesses, it's like, well, okay, did none of those witnesses really have it? Now, there were other figures and things that were said to experience the haunting of, I guess, the location. Andrew Jackson. Sorry, my feelings about Andrew Jackson. Visited the farm in 1819 to investigate. And it was said that his wagon was stopped by an unseen force. which
Well, I mean, he might just have had people haunting him for like, I don't know, all of the awful things.
he was just a host of demons. I don't think there was anything in there but demons.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't
Sorry,
think,
descendants of Andrew Jackson, who I'm also now skeptical of. But yeah, yeah. So that, so I guess it still seems to. I don't know if it still haunts the place. There are tours of the historic Bell Witch Cave, which is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. So if you live in Tennessee or you're there for some other reason, this could also be a reason. And if you're there for a different reason, you could just claim this was the reason if what you're up to is sketchy.
You're sketchier
than visiting these kinds of things.
So, talking about ghost tours, I mean, that brings up a whole other topic. So I was on a ghost tour when I was in Gettysburg, back in January. And as part of the tour, we got to use different ghost hunting equipment, which is pretty cool, I guess. I mean, I was not super interested in that part of it. I just wanted to go and like hear the stories and whatever.
Yeah.
Not necessarily carry around equipment. But there's a whole skeptical side of that. What is that equipment really doing? And realistically, it could really be programmed to do anything, not just to measure like electromagnetic fields, for instance. It might also, if someone were if they wanted to, they could program it in such a way that it has anomalies built into it or something like that.
Yeah, which gets into a really interesting and problematic area for this. All right, so one of the classic hauntings is known as the Brown Lady of Raynham Hall. It's Raynham Hall. Okay, and the ghost is said to be of Lady Dorothy Walpole, allegedly imprisoned by her husband in the 1700s. But there's a photograph of it. And it was a respected photographer, a guy named Hubert C. Provand, captures an image coming down the stairs of this ghostly kind of woman. Now, it's obviously, this is in the 1930s, it's pre-computers, it's pre-Photoshop, it's pre-all that. Maybe a double exposure, but again, it's the this guy's a reputed photographer, and so but it's an interesting kind of thing. It's not so much the question of is this the real ghost? Okay, we can go back and forth on it. So much as how much is evidence really going to matter going forward unless it's like physically storable evidence? Because like what can't be faked right now? We're in this stupid era of AI, which I guess is, I don't know, not going to end or whatever. But
I mean, what can't be faked or like bold-faced, easily fact-checkable lies, and people are like, yeah, that sounds great. So I mean, yeah, it's like forget about having equipment. We can't even like normal stuff.
We can't. Yeah. Well, and so that's the thing. So how, like, is the sweet spot over for investigating this stuff? Like now that because what's going to be on the other side of it? Like somebody's gonna. Okay, so let's just very briefly on this. Like, let's say okay, so something is invented that can definitively. It's the Turing tester. It can definitively tell if it's AI or a person or whatever that is, or if it's AI messed with, right? But then do you trust that thing? Because now it's just kind of kicking the thing down the road. It's like no longer just. I mean, like there are people that were probably skeptical of any technology that emerges, right? There's a weird thing talking about technology, and I'll just like sort of like retract my question and go back. There's this thing called ghost tube. If I didn't spill tea all over my government surveillance device earlier. I'd pull it up and show you, but it's called Ghost Tube, and it's a it's like the poor person's ghost hunting app, and I guess it's supposed to, I guess, probably check for changes in temperature or in signals, like radio type signals and things like that. And it's you ask things questions, and like Ouija board style, I think it's supposed to like give you answers. So you go to different haunted locations and see what happens. Now, presumably, you could go to locations that are not claimed to be haunted at all and sort of test against those things. Maybe you could even tell people that places were haunted and send them there with it and see what happens. You know, if you want to mess around with this and just see what happens. But yeah,
like what's weird though is like the fact that like just even just when you do a cursory stuff, like the ghost stuff is not consistent, like in a sense at all. Like we're pulling threads right together, like going, oh well, this is the but like the fact it's like, oh, you could be a haunting from someone that's still alive, or it's like an actual thing pushing people around and making noises. It's like and talking to people. It's a person you can see like in a place and walking around and doing stuff, acting either on their own volition or acting like a recording. It's like then how would it like any of this testing stuff be at all consistent as well? Like, I mean, the fact is like you're testing stuff that seems to be like fairly inconsistent in and of itself. Like a room of people and some people see it, and some people don't. They're staring at the same thing. Like Dan, you were saying, you know, it's like, it just feels like, well, does that mean like how do we know, like, you know, it's like, well,
Yeah.
sometimes it gets cold, but then I guess sometimes it probably doesn't. Or sometimes there's an electromagnetic thing, but maybe there isn't. It's like, so what's the kind of point
how
of
come
this? Like,
sometimes,
you know,
yeah, like
you might as well just
sometimes
get like
white
out a
Bigfoot
dowsing
shows
rod.
up on camera,
Yeah.
right? But then,
Yeah.
like, how could it show up on camera if it can also disappear or not get affected by
Yeah.
bullets in any way? Or, you know, like it's like this kind of, like, what
Yeah,
the
it's-
heck is going on?
Yeah, it just, but it also just feels like there's like a sense of like, since the phenomena is so inconsistent, having some kind of idea of there being reliable equipment to diagnose it seems kind of like a little silly in a sense. You know, it's like it's just like because you're really just like making a guess, right? And what if I go to a place and I grab all of this stuff and I check, oh, the temperature dropped, and oh, there's electromagnetic stuff, and but nothing's happening, but I get all the indications of there being something there, but this was never like there's no haunting, there's no it just like it just happens to be like the room is cold because the AC kicked off, or I live in a place that gets
Yeah.
your high tension wires or something and get weird electromagnetic.
I
You
mean,
can just
like-
fake like this, like, you know, like fake a kind of bunch of stuff that just
Yeah.
feels like I don't know. The equipment thing always seems weird. It's like I guess it's like kind of like it doesn't seem to be very reliable, like instances of this that are easily like repeatable. So why would equipment like work to pick it up?
Right.
And what if the ghosts just are messing with the equipment? Like the computers, like they're
Well, no, I mean, like electronic voice phenomena,
yeah.
EVP. How does that work? I mean, okay, so one explanation is it's completely fake. These people
Okay,
are
so for
charlatans.
anyone that might not be familiar with it, just real quick, EVP, what is
Yeah.
it?
So EVP is it's called electronic voice phenomena, and people will use a recording device. It started with, I guess, just magnetic tape, like a cassette tape. And they would they'll ask questions out loud to an entity or something that's presumed to be there. They'll play back the tape, and then there will be voices on the tape that were not there. That's the basic version of it. That's the and then there are all kinds of people that debate, as they do, whether it's real or fake, or if it's well, what's that pareidolia? Like there's an auditory version of just like kind of just projecting something on there you want to be there,
Yeah, you hear like static noise going like from something, and you're like, oh, it's saying a thing, and it's really
Yeah. And And again, it's kind of like, okay, well, we're looking at what we're calling the evidence and we're saying it's a thing or it's not a thing. There might be an issue with the scientific exploration of a lot of these things. And I know that's going to rub people the wrong way because we have this idea that science tells us the truth about the world. Because the five human senses, for whatever reason, are the ones that can completely and perfectly perceive reality, which doesn't even pass any test. The senses always deceive us. You can look at train tracks in the distance. In the future, if trains don't exist anymore, they ran on these things called tracks. And in the distance, two parallel lines would seem to converge, but they don't. People seem to get smaller as they walk away, but they don't usually. Our senses deceive us all the time, and they're all relative to our position in the world. Like I have a desk here that used to be softer because I had a gamer's mouse pad on it till I spilled tea all over it, and now it's kind of hard. But it's hard because my fleshy body is a certain density relative to it. If my hand was made of diamond, I don't know, probably in a lab somewhere, but my hand were made of diamond, this wouldn't feel hard. I'd be able to go right into it, you know? So is it hard or not? Is it solid or not? You know, it's all relative to your position in this thing. So,
Well, I mean, like, also, too, there's a sense where it's like, and I think we touched on this a little bit when we did the Haunted Theater. How much also can you, like, prime the pump to get people to experience a thing? If you're told something is haunted, and say you're not a skeptical person, you know, so, and you believe this to be the case, like, it's like you walk in there already expecting something weird, right? Like you're on a ghost tour, right? And you're someone that believes in ghosts, right? Like just
yeah.
flat out, like, are you gonna see something versus someone else seeing that? You know, I mean, how much is it just
Yeah.
like, just
Like,
kind of like a
how,
little bit of a suggestion, you know, type of thing that goes on as well, in addition to like, you know, aside from that.
yeah, like how much of this is about your consciousness and your experience, and how much of it is about something happening out there? So let's take it to Loch Ness for a minute. Let's assume that people are seeing something. Let's just because otherwise it's too messy. If we assume they're seeing something, either it's something special about Loch Ness or something about that person, right? Maybe there's some other thing I'm not picking up on here, but like, so the idea, so is we talked about staring out over a liminal space like Loch Ness going to cause some kind of a thing in consciousness such that it changes your perception, and not in an obvious, but in a way that you see freaking monsters, you know, not in a it's kind of weird on my eyes, you know, or when you're in a house purported to be haunted and you're the only one there and you start hearing things. Is that about your consciousness? Is it about the place there, or an interface between the two? Like, does your consciousness shifting allow you to perceive something that's actually going on there? And maybe some other people are there and their consciousness didn't make that shift for whatever reason.
I mean, but
Because
yeah,
they
it's
were,
like
they were, if they don't believe in it because they're scared of it, so their brain has a defense mechanism that prevents them from seeing it. I don't know. But what's
think there's
unsatisfying about it is people are like, well, that's not scientific. And I'm like,
well, yeah, I mean, let's. No,
Yeah.
I was saying, I don't think you can even really approach this stuff with like because it's not like I can't remember if I had told the story before, but I'll just like recount just because it gives a kind of two perspective. So apparently, like my like grade school, high school, like especially the old building, like not the more modern ones, but the really old building, which is like, you know, at this point, like whatever, 160, 70 years old, maybe more than that. Yeah, I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
So it's like whatever. At the time I was going there, it was around like 160 years old or so. The one section, which was like the sort of more rundown section up in the like third floor, like that was only used for like part of it was kind of like storage section, and the other parts were like where we had to relegate like, you know, the independent art students, and like we also the photography lab was up there, too, and it's like and it's in this thing, and supposedly that's like where like some of the haunting stuff happened. I
Mm-hmm.
spent a lot of time there, like in both of those things. 'Cause I did a lot of art focused stuff, especially like in high school, and I would often have times where I was up there by myself for good couple hours, like in either of the two places doing, like whether I was in the photo lab, which is also dark because like the windows are boarded up and stuff because it's a photo lab. We were doing traditional like develop film photography, traditional development practices and stuff like that, like learning that. And so it was like, and then the other thing was like just where the had like my art studio, and I was like only one of a couple students, and we were all there at different times. I never had a problem. A couple years later, someone I knew also was up there. They said, "Oh, there was all this stuff that always happened, and like things." It was just a very like stuff, people knocking me out of my chair or things like that. And I'm like, I spent so much time there, and a lot of times by myself. And I'm actually, it was one of my favorite places to be because I could escape the other annoying classes and things like that. And I really liked it. And like, and the other haunting might be just like people sneaking up there also to smoke, like because like that's where people would go. Sometimes even the teachers that, so it was just like, there was not like it had like like, oh yeah, like this thing, but it's like, but also do people just want to keep people out of there because that's like, people want it to be left alone or something. But like, I don't know. I spent quite a bit of time there, never had the experience. Seems like other people did have that experience. And I just find that like, I don't know. I didn't even have like oh, this is creepy, or oh, it's like it chills. I'm in this all, it didn't, I didn't have any of that. And it's just like, so I don't know, that whole like, and I still had I knew those places were supposedly haunted, but nothing, not even like a creak or something weird happened, just something weird. And it's like, I don't know, you think something would have happened if someone else had like this experience that was seemingly interactive, like getting knocked out of a chair and always hearing voices and like hearing cracklings. And I don't know, it just seems.
But like
yeah.
like a pair of cops witnessing a heavy chair shoved across a room. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder, like, there's to some degree, there's also like, how primed are you to like be, like maybe even misinterpret like things, like like just like you maybe fell on the chair because you're clumsy. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like human judgment is really weird, and we tend to. It's not clear to see what the what the difference is between what one is projecting and what one is perceiving, and that's the problem. Is the map is not the territory, and we might not know a damn thing about the territory. We think we do because it's convenient to think we do. Science gives us technology to do things, but it doesn't prove truth. That's my stance. It tells us how to do things. And if that were the case, you wouldn't have models of physics just displacing other models of physics entirely. And not adding to them, people. Relativity is not an addition to Newtonian physics. So it's a totally different paradigm. So it's like, what kind of paradigm do we need in order to fit all of this in? And the paradigm could be, not that I think this is the one, that people are just idiots and they make things up and they lie about things and they want attention and like, I mean, yeah, okay. And that's one theory. I mean, there's so many questions, right? Like, do these phenomena happen at all? What's causing them? I think I'll weigh my monsters, I think.
But before you do that, I want to hear the story that you teased at the very start.
Oh yeah. So this place, it's kind of a funny story more than a scary story. This place has really weird stuff going on. This apartment that I live in. Now it's at a weird kind of intersection, like we're uphill from there's this valley that goes down. We got wind that hits the side of the building all the time. We've got it's just in a weird zone at like how the roads intersect around it and stuff. So it's kind of just like an odd location for the apartment. But in the apartment, me and Sharon will see things, we'll hear things, and the sound in this apartment does not function normally. Like, I'll be in a room right next to, like, the living room and the kitchen are right next to each other. Sharon will be in the living room and saying something to me, and I can't hear her. But
You
she'll
can't
be,
you can't understand her, or you can't hear
I
her.
can't hear her. And then she'll be in an office that's further away, and I can hear her. And it's like, it just doesn't make any sense. The lighting in here is really weird. It's just a very uncomfortable place in a lot of ways. But both of us, now I'm not prone to seeing spirits, despite what you might think of me going on about all this stuff. This isn't something that most of my life I've had experiences with. Until the last apartment we were in, after actually one of our cats died, and I would kind of like have this sense of like this is it, now some people, you're just used to having the cat around, so you've got this residual sense. But in this apartment, I'll constantly seeing things out of the corner of my eye, hearing weird stuff. Like, it'll tend to pick up at different points, and like Sharon will mention to me, she'll be like, "Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of stuff. I've been seeing a lot of stuff lately," but we don't talk about it a lot. It's just a thing. But but because of how sound works, and we had a cat here, we have these things called Norins, which are these long curtain things that hang till about a foot off the door, and that would allow us to maintain the temperature in here, because this room gets very cold because of being uphill from that valley. And so we had these things, but the Norins would allow the cat to still walk underneath. So this is a really long walk to tell this story, but so what we started doing in order to not run into each other when we're coming out of our offices, is when one of us goes in the hallway, we'll make a noise like the haunting in Beetlejuice. The kind of like goofy kind of noises. And so but sometimes, like, I tend to do it. Because I'm weird like that. And Sharon will often do it, but sometimes she won't, and I'll go out in the hallway and I'll just scare the crap out of me. And my first thing is like, why didn't you make the ghost noise? Because that's how you know it's not a ghost. They don't usually make noises like that. But yeah, but it's funny because like that. I mean, we'll both see something and kind of turn and kind of like, it's like, you just see something? But it's always like the corner of the eye thing. I don't often get like a person, but we've both gotten that in here where we were sure the other one was like right behind us, and we turn around and they're not there. And it's just like chills right away. And it's just like, okay, that's creepy. But the thing is, like, I know we haven't looked into it. We don't know if anyone's died here, but I don't necessarily think it was that.
Likelihood usually like could be like, I mean, but it's so here. This is a weird thing like that. Was kind of funny for ladies. One of the first things I was talking about, like the hearing something like a haunting that people are still alive. Could you potentially, like you live in the same place for a very long time.
Yeah.
You do a lot of stuff, and then like maybe you like, I don't know, like change things around, and then the next thing you know, like you're hearing something coming from a different spot. Could you be like haunting yourself? Like it's like
I love this idea.
You're making noises in this other spot because that's where like the kitchen was. And then I don't know, you renovate, now that's like a room, and the kitchen's over here or something. It's like, and now you hear like chopping in the living room, like chop chop chop. It sounds like someone's using a cutting board. And it's but that's where the kitchen was that I had. Now I'm haunting myself.
It reminds me briefly of Dan, the story you opened with. And actually, I heard this story from some online person. I don't remember who offhand, but they're telling this story about they had this this desire to go to their childhood home for whatever reason. They were like thinking about going to their childhood home. They hadn't been there for a while or whatever, so they just like randomly went there one day, and they brought their mother with them. And so they go to visit this home and knock and tell the people what they're doing. This is Australia, if I'm not mistaken, and might be a little more normal to do. Probably not normal anyway. So you go and knock on the door and they say, hey, we used to live here. Just wanted to see if we, kind of visit the place. And they're like, oh, come on in, and they show them around. And before they leave, before the mom and daughter leave, they say, hey, did anything weird happen when you were here? And they're like, well, what do you mean? And they say, well, there's this little girl we see doing these things in these areas, and describing this thing, and it becomes clear to the woman who went to visit her childhood home that she was the little girl that's currently haunting that house. So it's a similar kind of thing, except again, it's kind of like well, is this a true story? It's an interesting story. So yeah, but I like that idea of it's kind of like the idea of could you reincarnate and overlap with your life? Could you actually encounter and what if actually there was only one person and they just reincarnated so many times that they're everything? We're all, there you go. That'll bake your noodle.
On that note, let's do our ratings.
Can we like, before we do the ratings, can we just like can we throw like should we do like a sort of like definitional a bit around this? Like let's exclude banshees and stuff like that. And maybe even to some degree like some kind of poltergeist, because it almost seems like those are something else.
I agree.
Right? And like ghosts are just like the haunted areas, like the people you see. And would you hang out in a haunted place for like many days in a row? I just like not staying there overnight, but just like have to work there all the time.
So I'm going to give my rating, but first I want to give a fun statistic I came across. It was on YouGov.com, and admittedly I don't know anything about this site. I just kind of came across it, but it said that this was taken in 2025. Was this survey? It was October of 25. 38% of Americans believe in ghosts. 38%. 75% of the people surveyed would not they would not buy a haunted house. So even though they don't believe, there's a large fraction of people that would still not buy a haunted house. I thought that was very interesting.
I think it just depends on like because like at some point in time, like, I mean, I've lived like my school was in old buildings. I've lived in like a few buildings that are particularly old. Like, when I lived in Baltimore, I lived in a really old brownstone. There's a good statistical chance that somewhere along the line, someone died in that place. And I don't know, it didn't seem particularly haunted, like, unless the haunting was like, your neighbor throwing a loud party or like, or like out on the stoop at 2 a.m. crying about breaking up with their boyfriends or something. Like, I mean, like, it wasn't like that. There wasn't particularly that types of, I mean, like, that's a different type of haunting. Like, it's like, but so it's just like, it kind of, it's like, there's got to be like, it's also never really like, I don't know, I feel like I would like to see like some weirder, like something like more mundane. It's always something run down or something that has some element of spookiness. It's not like, yeah, this brand new, like water park. So it's like, like, I don't know, just kind of funny, like in that sense. So it's like, yeah. But so I think buying the haunted house would be like, well, did like a murder occur? And is it like, like, oh yeah.
But I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters. The idea is like, they don't believe in it, yet they're still not willing to buy it. I think that's like that paradox I find very...
Well, like, even if I didn't believe in hauntings, I wouldn't necessarily want to buy like a crazy murder house, like a bunch of people came in here and gunned people down, or like it was like a serial killer or something.
Well, you might,
I would
that
definitely,
might be the 25%
that might not be haunted, but it definitely
into.
would. Yeah, I would, I don't, doesn't mean it's haunted, but I definitely don't think it'd be good vibes, like, because
but otherwise you'd be fine if it weren't a murder house, but it was haunted.
But it was just like a normal, well, I mean, like, there's a good chance, like, I've spent time in places were supposedly haunted. I don't know. It didn't really seem to, I mean, if it's like not interfering with your day to day, I guess it probably would. Like,
I think this is the boogeyman closet door thing.
Yeah.
It's like,
I think it has to be like
where
how,
your mouth is.
Yeah, how interfering it would be though. Like, it would be like, is it like, oh, well, occasionally like these doors open and close or something or whatever. It's like, or is it like, I don't know, it randomly starts fires. Like, it's like, well, then that's a different story, I guess. Like, it probably just something's either really wrong with this house that fires are randomly breaking out, whether it's haunted or has severe electrical problems. Like, so I don't think
but
that's
you've got your other reasons. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so rankings. Here we go.
Okay.
So generic ghosts. I find it more fascinating than scary, as I do with a lot of these things. I've had several weird experiences in my life. Some of them, I was the only person to witness. Sometimes there was another person. And it's always been a cool experience, and it's never been enough of an experience for me. I just find it really cool, and I look forward to some more opportunities. So that being said, I would have to give this just a 3, something middle of the road. It can be kind of scary, I think, and other times not at all. Like I heard this one story where this person they were in a haunted house, and the ghost allegedly pushed them down the steps, and I haven't been able to shake that. It's like anytime I go up or down the steps, like that's always a possibility. So there's always the opportunity for bad things to happen, but I still find it incredibly fascinating. I do believe there's something to it, whether it's something we just don't understand or a spirit, I don't know. But regardless, really cool. I give it a solid 3 monsters.
Right on.
Go
right
next.
On.
So I'm going to say, I'll probably put mine in around 2. I think I'm in a similar camp as you. I don't really find it particularly scary. Like, it's like, especially for eliminating, like, I don't know, monsters that stab you or something like that. Like, I probably find the boogeyman scarier than ghosts. Like, I think if that's the kind of thing, and those type of, ideas, like, I think, like, as a phenomenon, because it's like, it seems that, I think it's cool that, like, it kind of stretches across, like I think ghosts, I think it's cool in that sense. Haunted places, like, I've been to a bunch of different haunted places, but no experiences at all, even when other people have apparently had something happen in the same kind of place, which makes me wonder, maybe the phenomenon is more linked to those people than it is to the thing. It's interesting, and I like the stories, and I like the fact that, like, and I really find the whole, like, people telling stories about things that are, like, haunted, but, like, there's no reason for it to be haunted because no one's dead. And like, I think that stuff is kind of, like, seems, like, really cool. And it's, like, I like it, but, like, I'm not, like, super scared. That doesn't make me like, oh, God, like, this is frightening. Yeah, so definitely a 2. Like, pretty low for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 4. And the reason why is just like the real life experience of encountering these kinds of things. Like, if I turn off the light and I'm standing next to the mirror and it's late at night and I have that Bloody Mary thought, I hightail it. and I don't, like, really, like, believe in Bloody Mary in that sense, right? I think if my first response, if I were to be in a place and all of a sudden there's this ghostly thing happen, I think my first response would be to kind of flee. But then I'd be like, if I felt like it was like, oh, I'm safe though, I'd probably just be like amazed at what I'm seeing and take it in. Because it's like, even though I think it's scary, I think it's amazing and I'd like to experience it. Not the push downstairs, set you on fire, mock you at your funeral type, but like but like that, like you're getting a ghost tour in Gettysburg or something, and you see there's a Civil War guy, and he's not a reenactment guy just hanging out there. It's like and it's like whoa, like I wouldn't really think like he's gonna come get me, because, well, maybe it's less scary when it's the recording type, and more scary when it's the intelligent type. Yeah. So, but I'm still gonna say all of it's 4, because like even when I'm talking about this stuff, I'm giving myself goosebumps, because it's like, and I think because to me, the dead, specifically the dead, more than cryptids, have like a little more of a, as I punch the microphone, have a little more of an inroad to my psyche in that regard. I do my best not to speak ill of the dead in general, and yeah. So, but yeah, I'm gonna say 4, but I still want to experience a lot of this stuff, even though it's gonna scare the hell out of me. Who ain't afraid of no ghosts? Well, I'm kind of scared of them, and apparently, regardless of what they say, 75% of people surveyed by the YouGov thing are also. I'd call you all on it. If not, then buy one. What's stopping you?
Like we always say,
ridiculous housing market.
yeah. In this housing market, definitely buy a haunted house.
But the takeaway here, we can help you guys. We can help you, friends. If you need to reduce the price of the house
Yeah,
that you
tell 'em
want
it's
to
haunted.
buy, you need to get it haunted.
Yeah.
Because 75% of people will want to get out of there. And that.
So spread haunt. So if you find a property you really like, it, go on the internet and spread haunting rumors. Try to get it put on a ghost tour map.
Or actually haunt it somehow. Get some kind of cursed object or something, but then you'll have to unhaunt
Yeah,
it.
but now that's like, yeah, then you don't want to do that. Like, then all you gotta really. Now you're dealing with cursing this, and that's a whole different. See cursed object.
Whole different episode.
Yeah.